So Lesley is about to come on and absolutely transform your ability to unleash your desire and create love that just rocks your world. So definitely stay tuned. We're going to dive into that in just a sec. Before that, I want to say thank you for tuning in. Thank you for choosing to be your greatest possible self and growing on this journey with us. Every step counts, so keep showing up and taking one step at a time. Next up is our iTunes review of the week. This week it's by Dom Brightman, who says, a spirit bomb of good, life-changing, and empowering content. Chris has a great podcast that has curated some of the Earth's most inspiring humans that deliver value. It's great when the host has energy and the guests also bring their A game. Give this a listen or over 9,000 listens. Thanks so much, Dom. I appreciate you, man. And if you want to give us a shout out, or get a review shouted out on a future 12-hour live stream, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Greatest Possible Self on the Apple Podcast Store, and you can give us a review there. Thank you in advance for doing that. Let's keep growing and going together. I'm going to introduce Lesley in just a second. Before that, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, be ready to take notes. This is going to be an amazing transformational conversation. This woman has years and years and years of experience in this stuff, so you definitely want to stay tuned all the way through to the end of the conversation, because one idea has the power to change everything for you. Lesley Edwards is known for helping ambitious women unleash their inner goddess to find epic love. Co-author of Love and Coaching with Men Are From Mars expert Dr. John Gray, she is also a top trainer for his Mars-Venus coaching organization worldwide. She is passionate about the kind of love that unlocks our greatest potential. And her mission is for women to know they are always supported and guided by wisdom and truth greater than we can even fathom. A conspiracy by the divine and their own feminine inner goddess to fulfill their deepest desires with ease. And we are just getting started over here. Lesley, are you ready to rock the house, Superwoman?
Oh my gosh, let's do it.
We're doing it. We are live and becoming your greatest possible self. Thank you for being here. We're going to dive right into the theme of the day, Lesley, which is attracting, manifesting your dream partner. What does that mean for you?
Oh, everything. It's everything. For me, that's the key to unlocking self-actualization in the most expedited route.
Yes, I love it. Self-actualization. Let's go.
I thought you'd be into that.
So great. So for everyone who doesn't yet know about your company and Mars-Venus coaching, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I've always been obsessed with love and love stories in particular. So I do really love this month. And that content really resonated with me. John Gray's book from the 90s, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And I was struggling. I hated dating. I thought it was awful and frustrating. And when I read that book, although I wasn't ready to take responsibility for all of the stuff that I was doing, I started to get a little bit of understanding, which I think is a big part of my process and my practice, which is baby steps. And we only go as fast and as deep as feels comfortable for right now.
Yeah.
Because it's always the perfect journey. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really passionate about people having the love of their life and coming to share their greatest gifts in the world and love themselves on a whole other level because of the love that they see in their partner's eyes. Wow. It's been the greatest. I couldn't believe the difference that my husband made for me when he came into my life. Wow. He was someone that after only knowing me for a few months, because we knew each other in a professional setting where he was coaching and I was head coaching. Yeah. So I was training him. Yeah. And he said something to me like, "You're remarkable." I was like, wow, I hadn't heard that from anyone. And this was near the beginning, closer to the beginning, only a few years into my business. And it was the first time that I felt he really gets me. He really sees me and my gifts and what I meant to share. And so he just was rocket fuel for my life and my business from day one of being together. So yeah, my whole practice is about unleashing that for other people. And
getting your own rocket fuel.
Hello, yes. SpaceX, your love life. Yeah. I don't know if we have to pay Elon Musk for that, but yeah.
I love it. This is great. This is great. I feel like Petya has done the same thing for me. You know, like number one, I really had to like love myself first to be able to attract her, right? So I'm sure you did a ton of self work, which we're going to dive into. But like after I did that self work and then attracted her, then it was just like, man, we're both on fire, both great leaders, just amplifying and seeing that greatness in each other that maybe even other people don't get to witness or experience because there's such a deep level of intimacy and connection and vulnerability that we just naturally with our chemistry we're able to create. So it's so freaking powerful.
Yes. And isn't that the best? Like for me, it enabled me to take more risks.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, it was so funny as I was thinking about this. I'm like, can I ask Chris questions? Because I have the sense after speaking with and connecting with Petya and totally already falling in love with her, that it's probably been a similar journey for you. And because I'm obsessed with people's love stories, I'd love to know the places where she's like made the biggest difference for you in either your relationship to yourself or your business, like the things that really matter to you.
Yeah, I would say like similar to you with like the willingness to take risks. I saw that even if I messed up or I wasn't achieving my goals in business, right? Like I was super hard on myself, but being around her and having her reflect to me that I'm still a king, that I'm still the warrior, that I'm still the lover, that I'm still this magician, right? Like totally all of the archetypes, whichever one I'm choosing to step into, she just has this total reverence for me as a soul, right? Like such a deep level of respect for me. And to be able to experience that, and I had to give that to myself first to be able to attract her. But I feel like the rocket fuel, right? The rocket fuel that she is being an outsider, seeing me like that, even though I had a business partner, he was doing the same thing. It didn't land the same. He was a guy, I'm a guy. It for whatever reason, it just didn't land the same as, you know, my romantic partner being that reflection to me is just like I melted, you know, I melt into who I truly am. Like I surrender into who I truly am versus trying to prove that I'm enough. It's like, no, I'm just going to own this and own that I'm powerful enough to create whatever I want. And it was freaking transformational.
Oh, it's so great because it's like, there's other people in our life that love us and want us to do well and all of that. And there's something different to me about the person who you are in love with, who you love more than anyone in the world, who loves you more than anyone in the world. They don't have to tout your gifts. They don't have to see your greatest self. They, through their love for you, they're able, it's like, for me, it was hearing it through Matt's voice. I just believed it more. I believed I was capable of more. I saw more of the evidence of my gifts, especially because our gifts are natural to us. That's how they're supposed to be. That things that often come natural for us, we don't necessarily recognize as special or unique or gifts, right? So having someone who you're in love with reflect those to you, in my words, it's so much easier to buy. I bought into it so much more than I would if someone else who I loved and respected said it to me, because, you know, with any of the, oh, well, you're my mom, you have to say things like that. It's like, you don't have to say things like that. And it gets in deeper, I think.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like deep into the cellular shifts, right? Cellular transformation. I love it. I love it. I want to go into your journey and talk about like what did you get to experience to be able to attract Matt, to be able to attract your dream partner?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. We could probably talk about that for the whole hour. The Coles Notes version. Well, actually, I just want to say one thing about self-love, because it's one of my, it's a little bit of a pet peeve, especially because all of my work is about rebalancing the masculine and the feminine for my male and female clients. And so, yes, I tend to work more with women. And ambitious women, like you mentioned. So they are like me. They've already really mastered our masculine skills of getting shit done and like narrowing focus and just going for it. And so I don't know where that train was going. I completely lost it.
Your masculine and feminine, how did you grow through that in your
self-care or self-love?
Yeah.
Yes. So I find that self-love, because it's such a buzzword,
yeah.
That a lot of my clients, and even for myself, I think I started to approach it from a really masculine standpoint, which is like a striving, love myself, love myself practice, which is not what it's about. It became work. And I think when people hear self-love, it often triggers, okay, that's more work that I should be doing that I'm not doing. That's another thing that I'm not good at yet. So I feel bad and I feel guilty about that. So for me, the cool thing that I found about self-love is that, yes, absolutely, you and I had to be at a place where we're clear about what we wanted. We're open-hearted to see the person when they were in front of our face, which is the most important thing, and to welcome them in. So yes, we have to love each other and ourselves enough to be able to do that. But beyond that, your partner is going to be the greatest access to you loving yourself. So I'd say I'm someone, because I know it can be such a charged word, that don't worry too much about self-love. Just want to get to the place where you feel good about what you want and you feel like your open heart is ready and willing to welcome this person into your life.
Yeah, I love what you said there about a lot of people think it's more striving, more work to do, when really it's like a letting go of needing to do something, needing to be something that we're not, because it's already within us. We're already infinite unconditional love. We just get to accept it. We just get to like, okay, I don't need to keep trying to go somewhere. In fact, like for me, I'd say one of the biggest shifts was recognizing like the divine presence in all things, like the universe, God, source, creator, whatever we want to call it. Like I surrendered to, like, I am infinitely worthy. There's no amount of success or achievement or anything like that that could ever define how valuable I am. And so I'm just going to let that land. And there's a conceptual nature to that, but there's also an embodiment of like owning that and believing it and having our subconscious mind believe it too, which I think a lot of people, it doesn't get into that subconscious level for a long time, because we have to like really we have to either know the right techniques, tools, whatever, but it can just take a long time. But that external person who sees that can like just go straight into the subconscious so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like an important distinction that I've seen with my clients is, well, the feminine grows from praise and support, where the masculine grows from challenge. Wow. So for my male clients, it's like, yeah, where do you want to be? Set goals, take risks, go for it. That like produces testosterone. That expands your sense of self and your masculinity. So that's really important. And it's not that way for the feminine. So also the masculine does, right, takes action and then feels good. And it's the complete opposite for the feminine. Right? So we grow, like our masculine self grows from challenge, but our feminine, the part that most highly values love and connection and relationship, that part grows from praise and support. So I love what you said, the divine. That is an amazing potential source of support if we, like you said, if we let it in, if we acknowledge it, if we welcome it, if we just kind of relax into being held by that kind of energy. In addition to having great mentors, having great friends and people that we can rely on to support us. But those are all external to us. So to me, the divine is something that is internal, right? It's our own relationship with the sense that always, like Gabby Bernstein says, always has your back. And being able to relax into that is a huge part of the feminine. And also the feminine, the masculine does and feels good, takes action and feels good. The feminine feels good and then takes action. The complete opposite. So even thinking about the self-love practice or journey, it's all for me rooted in feeling good first. Feel really, really good first. And then you will naturally be in touch with your own intuition, which I think is also a piece of the divine. Any signs that are coming from the outside, as well as just like that, like you said, that well of love.
Yeah, and the gut intuition too, right? Like we can have signs from outside, confirmation from the universe, things like that, and then there's also this internal knowing and feeling and experience, right? I want to empower people in this masculine and feminine a little bit more, because I think that there might be a lot of people who are asking themselves, like, where am I at? Where is my weak spot? Where am I not showing up fully? Where do I have room for grow? How would you help them assess that and be able to take more effective, empowered action, or non-action than being?
Yes, just a different kind of focus, I guess we'll say. Because yes, it's so true. Because the masculine so grows from action and risk and committing to things and putting yourself on the line, and then feeling the expansion on the other side. Then we tend to want to put women into that same box of action. So yeah, I love. We can kind of speak to them separately.
Sure.
What I find, even for my male clients, though, is we're working on the feminine side, because that's the side that values relationships. That's the side that wants to grow so that your heart opens. The masculine is not about emotions. So the masculine is the independent, detached part of us. It's like the mind, the logic, the reasoning, the action, the black and white. So it's very clear and directed. And the feminine part of us is a lot more unexplained part that oftentimes I think we're really uncomfortable with, like emotions, especially emotions, our intuition. Really how we feel is the biggest driver of the feminine. And also with that, I include the body. So I kind of think of the masculine up here, think of the feminine as like being in your body, grounded in something.
Sensations.
A different wisdom. Absolutely. And so, yes, we want to bring those back into balance, but also there's a lot of, especially with people who are single, I mean, usually, like I always say, close to 100% of your experience has not worked out how you wanted it to. So, like the past that you're drawing from is often marred in all kinds of negative emotion. So it's being really gentle with that, giving space to feel and process and let go of some of that negative stuff so that we can feel good about what we want again. Because that is like Regina Thomasschauer talks about desire. She's my favorite teacher on this topic. And she says desire is the beginning of everything. And it really is. Every great idea, every life first started with a desire. It might have been a split second, may not even be present to it, but all started with a desire. And it's such a raw, powerful, potent kind of energy. And it's not something we've really been taught to harness or even like get acquainted with. Like you hear all is it the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich stuff? It's all about, how does he talk about desire, or like a burning desire? Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, easy to say when you have a burning desire, but for most of us who've been hurt and disappointed, we don't waste time having burning desires about things, because it just brings up more pain and the anticipation of more disappointment. So I like to kind of at the same time, but first get connected to desire in a way that's like, yum, yes, that is totally what I want. That would, in fact, rock my world. Yum. And then we can look and see, okay, like it's natural for us to connect as human beings. That's what we're meant for. That's what we exist for, we only exist in relationship with other humans. So it's complex, but desire, like getting connected with desire, pure and true, like you think about children. I think about Christmas morning or my birthday, places where you can find an example of that raw excitement, passion, like, what's going to happen? What do I want? The place where it's safe to ask for things, like for an occasion like Christmas or your birthday or whatever you celebrate. And then after that, like I said, it's natural for us to connect. So when we're not naturally finding someone that is the right match for us, that just says there's just something blocking us.
Yeah.
And that's all. So then that's just the next place that I go. It's like, what is underneath? What's, like, what are the patterns of belief systems that are like, because it's usually like this entwined kind of mess.
Yeah.
Where it seems, which keeps it really strongly in place.
Yeah.
But usually it's just one or two, I find, major belief systems that are kind of intersecting and reinforcing each other. So yeah, identifying those so that you can, it's safe to connect with desire again.
Yeah, I love it. I want to really dive into the desire, because I think there's a lot there that our audience can get use of, because it's like giving ourselves permission to desire again, to like having it be safe to say, this is what I want. And when a lot of people have been so repressed and said, like, don't be too loud, don't be too boastful, don't be too much, don't want too much, don't ask for too much, right? Like conditioning all of that childlike tenacity, wonder, curiosity, excitement for the Christmas, for the birthday, for whatever it might be. It's like that was all kind of beaten out of us, so to speak, and like squeezed out of us so that we could end up fitting into the system, right? Whatever it might be. So I think that desire, cultivating that again, I think is super, super important. So for our audience, I want to just give them some tactical things that they could be doing to cultivate and stoke that flame of desire. What do you think might be some good things that they can do to reconnect with that, to remember what that is within them?
I found, so for me personally, when I first started learning about, the right thing to do to attract the partner, the list was the thing, right? That's the thing that everyone talks about. And it was kind of like, yeah, I know I should be doing that, but I still hadn't done it. And even still from that point, I think that was during my coach's training in 2011. And it even still took me more than a year to actually write a list.
Oh, yeah.
It's that confronting for a lot of people, right? So one thing is like setting some new context around what it is that we're creating.
Yeah.
That is written in Jello. It's not written in stone. It's like literally today. What's the date? February 12th, 2020. What today feels like it would rock my world if I had, like the perfect, or not perfect, because even that word can trigger people, but like the most ideal, magical relationship that if I had it in my life right now would just feel amazing.
Yeah.
Just for today. Just for today. I'm not committing to forever. And in my world, you don't have to make a list. Like there's so many expressions, and the more I've learned about expression, you and I last time we talked, expression and different forms of expression. So written word is one, and a lot of my clients are artistics or painting, or visual. People like vision boards. I'm not a vision board person, but I like visioning as a process, like thinking about the future. I find that oftentimes, when we get stuck thinking about, oh, what do I want right now? It's just like drawing the blank, is like thinking 10 years into the future. The farther, I like 10 because it's far enough that we don't have to think about how, or, it's like, okay, a lot's possible in 10 years. So 10 years from now, so February 12th, 2030, okay, I'm going to be 47, turning 48. What do I want my life to be like? And I like making it real for my clients like that. Like, what's the date going to be and how old are you going to be? Because I think a lot of people have desire related to their age. And it's like, okay, well, by that age, I do see having these things going. But it's like, if we just stay in the head down, doing the do of the daily, then it can be easy for things to pass us by that actually do really matter for us for our future. So is that like granular enough for practices?
That's perfect. That's perfect. I think what I heard is both the immediate like reconnecting with today, what would it look like? What would it feel like? And I was talking to someone earlier, talked about getting grounded in the state that we want to bring forward to the day, right? The energy, what it is. And if someone's disconnected from their desire, like I would say a simple thing is, how can you start off the day feeling better? Like, what does that look like for you? Is that like, what is joy? What is play? What does a little bit more excitement look like for you? Is it dancing? Is it singing? Is it, like maybe it's cooking? Who knows? Like, people have so many different things. Maybe it's checking off a to-do list and you just want to feel like amazing in that accomplishment sense, whatever it is for you. So it's like, that's the daily kind of immediate today action. And then the longer term with like the 10 years, that's getting clarity on where we want to go, right? So we have both the immediate short term of mobilizing the energy that it may have been stored and not being fully expressed, and saying, what can we do tactically at the beginning of a day or a certain point in the day today? Like, what can I do today to supercharge and get the energy flowing? And then might be calling someone, whatever. There's lots of different things. But then also long term, it's like, hey, why am I here? That's like purpose. That's like, what do I want my life to be for? What do I want my legacy to be? What do I want to have created that would be significant and important and meaningful to me in the next 10 years? And so we get both the short-term mobilization as well as the long-term, it's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, good. And I'll just put some more feminine words to that so that it can resonate with my people, which is like, because a lot of that is, there's like achievement words and good stuff like that. For the feminine's looking about getting filled up. Being filled up is like, what would most fill you up today? What would feel so good for today? And like, even what I was talking about with Petya earlier in the week is like, what can I, especially if you're really not feeling good, like there really are some blocks that are holding you back, and and you don't have a capacity for dealing with them or identifying with them, then it's safe to assume that there's some healing that is required. Yep. So that is one of the things that I learned from one of my favorite mentors, Annie Lala, is like, what are 3 things you can do for your healing today?
Wow.
Right? So it doesn't have to be big and joy and love and like the highest vibration emotions. It can be just something that's a little bit more of a step up from where you're at. Yeah. And at the same time, just like totally validating where you're at. It's like, of course, this is where I'm at. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. I don't need to feel grateful and full of love and all of those things every minute. It's a great thing to strive for. Yeah. We know we feel better when we're connected at those levels of gratitude and love. And when we're not in that place, we don't want to beat ourselves up about not being in this place. It's just, I'm just not in that place. Yeah. Of course you're in this place. Yeah. Of course you're in this place. That's okay. That's okay. Because mostly I find we've been taught that it's not okay to have emotions. Yeah. So we resist how we feel and we deny how we feel. And then we say, I shouldn't feel that way. I should be so grateful. We live in North America. We live, like we have so much opportunity. How dare I be down on my life about, like not having the right job or not having the right partner. And that's really, right, like that's a slippery slope too. Yeah. So it's like just taking away all of the stuff that makes us feel guilt and shame and whatever bad feelings about where we are. It's totally okay with that you are where you are. Of course you are where you are. And then look at, okay, what would fill me up today? What can I do for my healing?
I love it. I love it, Lesley. This is great. I want to know what do emotions, how do you empower your clients to relate to emotions?
I actually love a John Gray process. It's one of his things that is my absolute favorite, called a feeling letter, that has you process emotions in a way that's really safe, because it's a letter and it's entirely an exercise. It's not real. You're not sending a letter to anyone. It's a way of expressing that is safe and personal and private, where you're expressing them in the specific order as they're designed, starting with anger, sadness, regret, fear, regret, and then starting to come to understanding and love. Right? And that's to whoever you feel like you have something unexpressed or incomplete with. Including, like, I did one to the love gods. It's like, I don't know. It's not like a specific ex-boyfriend or parent where there's, something that's like, I can feel bubbling at the surface. It's just like, what the heck? I've been on this journey for 30 years and I'm an expert in this field and my clients are falling in love, but I'm still in a relationship where I'm not even in love. Come on. So it's a place where we can be real with ourselves and who's ever listening. And that's the most important thing about emotions is having like a venue to express. And then there's two other parts to the letter that are really important that I really love. So you start with, like, that's the letter I wrote to the love god, starting with angry, sad, fearful, regret, starting to come around to understanding and love. And what do I want? What do I want? What do I want? And then you write the response letter. So that's what you would most love to hear in response to what you just shared, that totally validates and honors what you shared. And then you have the final word. So then you write the response to the response letter. So the completion letter that's filled with, love and hope and what you want. And, that is one of my favorite practices for connecting with emotion. And then I have another that's a quick one that you and I can actually do right now.
Yeah.
Where did I get this? I think this is also from Regina Thomas Schauer. She has the Mama Gina, the School for the Womenly Arts. And her work is all about empowering women through pleasure. Yum! Okay, so she talks about just like feeling check-ins. So actually this is a process that is combined with some like feminine presence work that I've done. So one thing for sure is eye closing for me, because I'm a visual person. Okay. It's easier to go internal when I find my eyes are closed. Oh yeah. Like feet flat on the floor, so we can ground into something and breathe. And breathe. And breathe. And then just kind of like you said, check in with your body. What sensations do you feel? And what emotion, like label, would you put to that? So for me, it's like really subtle. I'm feeling grounded. I'm feeling like a bubbling of excitement. It's really kind of muted. Yeah, now I feel my heart beating a lot more. So probably more excitement and kind of that's probably growing. And that's the cool thing about emotions. It changes in the moment. So literally how you're feeling in the moment. And then you open your eyes. Okay, I feel grounded. I feel excited. That's a perfect way to feel. Of course I feel that way. So what did you notice? How are you feeling? What kind of?
Yeah, I feel a eagerness in my belly, like power, power, like to be expressed, to go somewhere, to do something, to be channeled.
Awesome. Anything else?
Just like stillness as well, like the balance between there's potential in me and I just get to relax and be.
Awesome. Yeah. Of course you feel that way.
Of course. Yes.
Of course you feel it. Because here's the thing about, of course you feel that way, validating it. You couldn't feel any other way in this moment.
Wow.
You really couldn't.
Wow.
So instead of resisting, I should feel more excited. I should be full of love. I should be whatever. Never mind the shoulds, right? This is how I feel, and it's how I feel. So just doing like feeling check-ins throughout the day to just get out of here and just, okay, what's going on in here? And then kind of the next level that I do in my goddess weekends, because this is how we start each of the days, which I really love, is we'll do like a grounding meditation, and just who's ever ready to check in will say how they're feeling physically, emotionally, energetically. And okay, once we've gotten all that out, without any explanation or anything, it is how it is. And then kind of like what's bubbling up as an intention, given that that's how you're feeling. Share, that's the word that I got. So that's like to take it to the next level, which is like, especially if you're feeling, not great.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just get
what's
to be
an intention?
Be real
like what's the message?
Yeah.
Because every pain, negative emotion, and all of those things are messengers. Because we know when we don't pay attention to them, they just keep coming back, coming back.
Yeah.
And they get more destructive the more times they have to come back.
That's right.
So the sooner we can listen and, embrace them.
Yeah. I think for me, what I see would come up for me is like, hey, what am I feeling? Is even though I've done a lot of work, that doesn't mean that like I always feel positive and blissful and like, on cloud nine, right?
Really? Even Chris Burns?
Mind blown.
And like a CNN bulletin.
That's right. Get it, spread it to the world. The practice I see just continuing to kind of flex that muscle is just to simply check in and give space for whatever is wanting to come up. And even though, like I said, I've done a lot of work, there's still times when I want to be always high vibe, And so to give myself permission to say, hey, I know yesterday I may have been on top of the world, and today is a different day. How am I feeling? What's coming up? What's coming through right now? And I think the willingness to be honest with ourselves and like have that be communicated, I think it's like builds so much trust and ultimately will build our connection with ourselves, our source, our own intuition, guidance, like will allow us to love ourselves more because we're not trying to pretend that we are some way that we're not.
Yeah, just allow us to engage with love more. Like love is running through us, and we've built a lot of ways to kind of block that flow so that we're not connecting with the right people or receiving the love that's coming towards us, not even acknowledging it. Like, and that is the cool thing. It's like the double-edged sword thing about love, which is why, you're saying you want to set a really great foundation of loving ourselves and being open, because experiencing love, it opens our heart to all of the emotions. So it also means that falling in love again, especially when it's not the first time, in love, the first time you do fall, it's like off a cliff. Whoa, what's this? This is amazing. Every other time after, you have to leap in a way.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be, like without a parachute.
Am I going to be safe if I take this leap?
Exactly. Yeah. But that's the thing about falling in love again, is that it also triggers all the negative, unhealed stuff from before.
Oh, yeah.
So it's common to be feeling totally great and totally connected and totally in love with someone, and then also having a bunch of negative, fearful, shameful, negative emotions, even related to other relationships. You won't even know where they're coming from, because that's the whole thing about emotions. They come from a different place in the unconscious. They're not logic and reasoning. We're not meant to understand them. if we're just meant to be with them. And then maybe get a message, like a one word, like the way their unconscious speaks, right?
Yeah.
Maybe one word, but we're not getting full sentences and essays about why it is the way it is. But that's important because just know that when you fall in love again, then anything that hasn't been healed previously, that is coming up. And why is it coming up? To be healed. To be healed.
I'm curious, with relationships that are consistent over time, and it's a couple who's like done the conscious work on themselves, like I felt less things trigger, like let's say Petty and I, and I also, like for me, I know in the beginning of the relationship, I think there was I don't know, kind of like a willingness to be more like risky, so to speak, in our relationship, and have tough conversations and say weird things. And then after a while it can get kind of comfortable and just be like, hey, we know who we are, like we don't have to do much exploring or being curious about this other person and who they are. I'm curious, like how would we open that back up? What do you recommend anything as far as like opening a relationship back up to aliveness and spark and magic, passion?
Yeah, it's not really my expertise.
Okay.
Only a few of my clients are kind of in that position because most people are on the other side of the spectrum, single and looking. So yeah, my approach is always the same with those clients though, is like getting back to you and what feels good for you. Because oftentimes in relationships, especially for the feminine, because the feminine is so open and generous and giving, it's easy to overgive because this is the person I love more, like our kids, our family, our partner. We want to give everything to them, and it's not a priority to give to ourselves. So it's really, really as simple as getting back connected to what fills me up. And so I'm really blessed. It's kind of an embarrassment of riches that I have a really incredible husband because he can see where I'm headed down that path before I do, and he'll tell me. So, so we have a new baby, and right after she was born, I had a lot of fear, and breastfeeding was a challenge, and I just was like, I knew that I had him home with me for like maybe 2.5 weeks, and then holy crap, I'm going to be on my own. And what am I going to do? How am I going to be able to do this? And he was like, okay, you're leaving the baby with me and you're going out. Even if you're just like going to Toys R Us to get something that the baby needs, you are going out. Or you're walking to Shoppers and getting and I would grumble. But he has a really amazing masculine, which is in the face of the grumbling. You just stand strong, showing your heart of love and just humor me. Just humor me. And of course, I'd feel a million times better when I'd go out and come back. So this is why I love working with singles, because in my world, it's so much easier on the relationship side of things when you're with the right person.
Yeah.
So we're not dealing as much with reigniting the spark and those kind of things. But yeah, that's the power of it. It's like back to desire. There's things about Matt that I secretly wanted, but wouldn't have said that I wanted.
Wow.
And I have like a whole list of them that I share in the Goddess Weekend because it's so important. That even when I was creating my list, and I had a very big belief that I am absolutely going to meet my guy, I just don't know when it is. Where a lot of people that I work with are like, I don't know if I'm going to meet him. I don't even know if he exists, let alone is he going to love me back. Wow. So there were things that I secretly wanted that were absolutely in my unconscious blueprint for desire. This is what I love. Like Danielle Laporte talks about desire map. I love desire mapping, which is just like going deeper into what it is and why does that feel so good? And okay, he supports you. What's supportive for you?
Wow. How
do you know that someone's supporting you? Just get like real life examples. And that, I would say, is another key about someone who's doing a desire process. Even if you want to take yourself through it, I would say it's way easier to have someone else facilitate a desire process for you because like what I would have done for myself is to make a list.
Right.
But what I do with my clients is, I let them struggle through, like what would rock your world? Oh, where do I start? Start anywhere. And then we just go and we get deeper and we get deeper and we look at the different domains, right? And I like to do a visualization process, which we can totally do here if people want to have like a little bit of a getting out of their heads about what they want and instead of getting like into their heart about what they want. Should we do that?
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay, okay, good. So you do it too, even though you've got your love. But it's the same thing. So breathing, getting out of your head, letting go of anything that feels heavy. Desire is a natural place. We all have access to it. It's always been there. And my personal belief about desire is that we only desire things that are meant for us in this life. I don't believe in a universe, a higher power that would allow us to have desires for something like true love if it wasn't meant for us in this life. So it's absolutely meant for you. And we're just going to go a little bit deeper into what is your personal blueprint for what would rock your world. So I want you to imagine you're walking into a huge event and there's hundreds of people there. And there's maybe a handful of those hundreds that are like, wow, that could be my guy. That could be my girl. And I want you to narrow in on just one of those, the one who feels like the most ideal, where you're just like, oh, yeah, that's like totally my type, totally attracted to. And I want you to notice them. Notice what they're wearing. Notice anything about their physical appearance. And notice like you're kind of seeing them from afar. Notice how they're interacting with other people at this event. What do you notice about that that has you say, oh, that could be my person? Oh, I love how they're being. And then they've now noticed you. And they have a similar kind of recognition. Like, oh, wow, look at them. That could totally be my person. And what would be the best way for them to engage with you, that first interaction, so that you would feel like, oh, I absolutely want to spend more time with this person. What would they say? How would they treat you? And how would you feel in their presence? That would enable you to open your heart just a little bit more to say yes to spending more time together. Right? Now, fast forward 2 months, you absolutely know this is the person that I'm going to spend my life with. And you both know that. How do you spend your time? How do they show you that they love you? How do they support you? What are the dreams that you have together for the future? And what is that ideal future? What does it look like 2 years down the road? What would be ideal and rock your world in terms of the perfect relationship structure? Are you married? Are you living together? Are you living separate and then sharing delicious time together? Like, what would rock your world? Would family be part of things, 5 years down the line? So that's just like a little snapshot, right, of like getting into desire in a way that is free, as free from our head as we can be. And I love the details that people notice about the person. Like for me, I could never see the face.
Yes.
I could never see the face. The only sense of the physical being that I had was like just like a bit taller than me, and like the arms around me, being held by that energy. And that was pretty much it. Everything else, I was like, well, I think clean shaven, I think this, I think that. So sometimes when we're doing desire, we don't know what's kind of like our thoughts about things versus our sense of things. But yeah, the things about Matt that he like are beyond my list, like feeling like and thinking like him thinking that I'm the most beautiful girl in the world. Like we literally watched, I remember the first trip we took together, we went to Chicago and the Victoria's Secret fashion show was on, and I adore watching the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And he was like, you're more beautiful than all those girls. I was like, oh, you're delusional, and I love that. But he still maintains to this day that I am the most beautiful woman. And that was something that I secretly always wanted, but would have never put on a list. Are you kidding me? That's not possible. Someone who wants to watch romantic comedies with me just because I want to.
Yes. Man.
So many things. So I love once you can get in a spot where you feel good about what you desire, like, yum, yes, oh, that feels good. That would be amazing. Then you want to look at how can we push the limits? What would be even better than that? Which I find is easier to do when somebody else is facilitating you through the process, because they can ask those questions to kind of expand things a little. Or like you said, we want to, I don't want to ask for too much. And that's one thing that I find is a really important message for a lot of my clients when I do this process with them is you're not asking too much. You're really not asking too much. I've never met someone who was asking too much. I've never done a session with someone who was asking too much.
Why is it that it's like impossible to ask for too much?
So a big part of it is how you do the process.
Sure.
So I would say, we'll say 99% of the time, people are talking about fairly generic qualities. So a sense of someone.
Sure.
Because I'll say, like, you're looking at them at this event. What would you guess their background is? Like, where do you think they're from? What kind of work do you think they do? How old would you guess they are? Like we're getting into real stuff about this person, but it's also not saying they have to be that.
Right. Because
I thought that my ideal guy would be more of a match for who I am in the demographic. Yeah. So like university degree or postgraduate degree.
Right.
Like a bunch of things, my age, things like that. And the reality is, this is my favorite thing about desire and being open to love is being open to it showing up in a way way outside what you expected. Wow. So Matt is 8.5 years younger than me. Yes. He grew up on a farm in a small town, like 2.5 hours, and I'm a major city girl. He was actually working on a farm at the time when I met him. And no university or anything. He did high school and then he was like working. Yeah. And also something that I thought was like really important at the time when I was making my list for sure was like spelling and grammar, especially the your thing. And he is like unapologetic, like that's not my thing. I'm not good with spelling and grammar and I'm going to screw those things up. And it didn't bother me at all.
Wow.
And he's the total love of my life. Yeah. So the package that you think that they're going to show up is not going to be it. Right. And the essence of that person, how you feel with them, how they support you, how they connect with you, how they love you, that's all going to be a match. It's like the feeling of, I'm curious for you, Chris. For me, it was like the recognition. So when I finally found Matt and was with him, into my 30s, I was like, yes, this is how I always thought it should be, how I always thought it would be. And because it had been like 30 years coming, I figured I was either asking too much or like I was basing this on some blueprint that was some like from the movies or whatever. but it was like a recognition of, yes, this is how I always thought it should be. Or not even that, just like at the time, it just always felt wrong, but I didn't know why. It's because it was supposed to be this, and it was like all the pieces clicked into place.
Wow. Yeah, for me it was like this feeling of ease, like it belongs. It's like this is how it's meant to be, you know. And in the beginning, I had like questions. I was like, is this really it? Is it? Did I really just manifest a woman in my dreams? Like, really? You know, like checking off all the boxes.
No, this can't possibly be it.
Right? Really?
No,
like,
no.
Chris, don't fall too fast, bro.
Just take it easy. Which is totally normal and part of the attraction process, right? Like right after attraction is uncertainty. Right after attraction is uncertainty. And that's normal. So just because you have doubts doesn't mean it's not the person for you. It's like, this is the place, because you're starting to fall in love. Even though in those early stages, you and I, if we spoke on the phone, we probably wouldn't have said we were falling in love with this person, even though in retrospect we can see, yeah, we totally were. But at the time, we were just like, I really like them. Things are, like, we'll see how things go. Like you said, the cool guy. But yeah, we're starting to fall in love, which means also fears and all that stuff are going to start to come up. So I'd say for someone who's in that stage where they're clear about desire, they're starting to see it reflected back to them, like, yes, these are the things that I've been wanting forever. And they're showing up. Oh my gosh. So I would say when you're looking at the doubts, it's important to see, like, I'll say, what's a real doubt or a red flag or something that's just fear. So because of all those reasons that, or all those things that were like, it's not the right word, but the disparity from how I thought they would be. I was like, this can't possibly be the guy. He's so young. I was like starting my master's when he was going to high school. Oh my gosh. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? You know, like I knew with the age difference, like right off the bat, as soon as I found out how old he was, I was like, I want to get married in the next 2 years. I want to have a first baby in the next 5 years. He was like, yeah, me too. Like, wow, okay. When I was 27, I certainly wasn't ready for any of those, but he's a total old soul. So that's the only thing about age difference as a sidebar, is just you want to make sure that your goals for your life, you know, short and long term, are aligned. That's the only thing. But what the heck were we saying? I just get so excited with you, Chris. The train just thunders away from the station.
Well, I think just really circling back around to real doubts or red flags, or just like fears and concerns, you know, it's like that, that I think a lot of I don't know for sure, but I think a lot of people might sabotage the relationship, taking a doubt or a hesitation or a concern and like blowing it way out of proportion and making a huge deal out of it, or, you know, like getting attached to it and believing it, versus saying, well, you know, that's a possibility, but let's just keep showing up in the relationship and take it one step at a time, versus like letting it pull you down a rabbit hole.
Yes, absolutely. So that was what I noticed about my concern. So say red flags show up in the moment with that person. Oh, they said something. Something felt off. Something didn't feel right about that. That's something you want to pay attention to. That's something, like you said in the beginning, you had a lot of risky conversations. So if something felt off, you were like, okay, this is what's coming up for me, or whatever. You're going to address it in the moment, which is an amazing thing about doing work, especially around communication, so that you can have risky conversations sooner rather than later. So that's red flag stuff. Doubts and fears and normal uncertainty, what I was experiencing was it would show up when he wasn't there. So we would spend, and so he lived way out of town. So we would spend an amazing weekend together, and I was, just like complete, like you said, just melting into yummy relationship. And he would leave, and then he would start thinking, like I said, what are people going to think? how is this, like, where is this going to go? Is this really it? Is this really my guy? And I noticed that when he would come back and we'd spend time together, that was nowhere to be found.
Wow.
I had zero concerns about that. Who the heck cares about what people think and whatever? All they know, well, in reality, what happened was people were just like, "You're so happy. I love it."
Yes.
People are happy that you're happy.
Yes.
So yeah, doubt, fear, uncertainty is going to show up, you know, like the second that the euphoria and all the good neurotransmitters that get ignited by something new and all that dopamine. As soon as that goes, then the sabotage is going to want to sneak up and say, "Well, what about this? What about that?"
Man, Lesley, this is powerful. I've loved this conversation. I know that there's women out there who are committed to attracting the love of their life, and they need some support doing it. And you could support them. How can they take next steps with you and create that?
Wow, that's a good question. Okay, I will say I'm still mostly on maternity leave.
Okay.
And so the best way, I have an awesome video series that's free on my website, where we could put a link to it. However, whatever, the easier, the better.
Sure.
for the feminine. But yeah, it's basically all of the biggest mistakes that I experienced personally, that my clients experience, and then solution to those.
Okay.
So it's I think 4 or 5 videos on those major things that I see. So if we didn't get to talk about it today, well, we didn't get to talk about any of them, I don't think. But yeah, go and get some answers, and then you'll be on my mailing list, and you can see when I come back to work. Any other opportunities that I'll have, I will let you know.
Awesome. I love it. And you're doing such amazing work in the world for these women, Lesley, and you're a blessing, and you open up entirely new futures and destinies and possibilities. So I just really want to say thank you for developing yourself and creating your own love, like your own love story, and being an example for people. It's beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, it's such an honor. I mean, look at it. We get to do our favorite thing in the world every single day. Yes. Life is so good.
I love it. Lesley. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you soon, okay?
Mwah.